Okay, welcome everyone. Once again, my name is Mark Rivetta. I'm the Education Manager at Bite Back. This is our third call for our senior focus group as part of the DACL program. We are so excited to have you join us today. Once again, I'm joined by some of my own team members from Bite Back who are going to help me as co-presenters today. We will have multiple opportunities for questions to be answered throughout the presentation as well as at the end of the presentation. But time is short. We only have roughly an hour left, so we want to get started as soon as possible. So let me share my screen with everyone, and then we will hop into the actual presentation. Okay, I believe everyone is able to now see my screen, the presentation. And once again, today is our accessing DC services through your iPad topic. That's what we're going to be focusing on. I am joined by several team members here at Bite Back. Casimir Tundi, he is actually not new to our team. He was with us last summer as an intern. Once again, he's returned to us as a summer intern. Felicia Soso, who is one of our digital navigators here, an A+ alumni, and Latika Wesley, who's also a digital navigator and A+ alumni. And they will be helping me today with this presentation. For today's presentation, as I said, we have lots to go over. And these are the many different topics, right? We will be, first of all, exploring what are the commonalities between the different websites of these different services that we're looking at, because they all use relatively the same template, which makes things a lot easier to find and navigate. And as well as these are the different offices that we will be looking at: human services, employment services, housing and community development, aging and community living, right? Which we are all familiar with, and the DMV. We also have a couple of bonus entries here, right? First is Park Mobile, which is the most common app to use when you are parking around the city and paying for parking, which we think is very useful. And finally, we're going to talk about how to adjust screen size in your iPad, because we were made aware earlier that some of the services to adjust the screen size aren't functioning properly. So we want to make sure that when you're looking at these various websites, you're able to fully access them. That being said, let's just get right into it. As far as commonalities are concerned, right, all DC offices have a couple of things in common, right, when you get to their websites. They have announcements at the top. They all have a search option and a filter option, and even a language option towards the top, right? They also have featured services as well as more services, right? So these are some of their featured services, are some of their key topics that they see a lot of online traffic for, and then more services is more or less the other pieces that they are able to serve you. There's also alerts that tend to stream up. You can either sign for these, or you can also just look at them on the website. They provide popular links to things that might be relevant to their particular focus. And finally, I listed the language option twice. So it's that important, right? If you want to find a language in your native language, if you don't speak English natively, if you want to talk in Spanish, Arabic, all sorts of different languages are available on the website. But I thought, rather than just talk about the website, I'd like to show you one of the websites, and we're actually going to go over quite a few of the websites today. But this is the first subject, the first one that we're going to look at, right? Department of Human Services, which I think everyone can see just fine here. And as I said, if you look at the top, here's the first thing that you have, right? Right off the bat, you have the search. They all have the search bar at the top. Now, I recommend, if you're going to use a search bar, that you try to be as specific as possible, because the search bar, generally speaking, will bring a lot of different things up, right? So you want to be prepared that you know exactly where you're going. If you don't know exactly where you're going for, that's okay. Don't worry about that. That's what we are here to help you find. The second thing is, and I pointed this out also on the previous slide, right, is that you can select a language: Amharic, Bengali, Chinese, French. It can translate into so many different languages. So you don't, if there's anything that's unclear and English isn't your first language, ideally you should be able to find out, to see this information in your native language. The websites also tend to have these announcements that scroll through. For DHS, you see here, we have a program called Stay DC. We have COVID-19 operation updates. We have, other things related to COVID-19. Lots of things if you go through these websites are related to COVID-19 and developments around COVID-19, and rightfully so. Uh, Again, we also have down here, like I said, featured services. Every department website has featured services. These are the most commonly accessed websites, which is why they have them up here as featured services. But these aren't their only ones, and it's important that you know where to go. So if these aren't the things that you're interested in looking for, you can also click on more services. And more services is great because this is actually where you can actually do more of a deep dive and get more specific. But specifically, if you want to look at filter by topic, let's say that you are here at the DHS and you're looking specifically for children and youth services, and you click on that topic, and then you press apply. Only the child services now is what's going to appear, and you've already narrowed down your search, right? So while the search bar at the top of the page, like I said, can be useful, it's very broad. Once you go into the more services section and you get this option to filter by topic, it makes it a little easier for you, right? So that's really, really important to know about that difference. And as I pointed out earlier, when we were looking at the slide, some other things that they have: the alerts, the popular links, the announcements as you go down, right? It's all there. And when you go from one website to another for a department, you see the commonalities. You see that the template stays the same, right? Search, languages, announcements, featured services. So I think that's really critical that we all recognize that no matter where you go to when it comes to whatever service you're trying to access with DC, you're going to see a lot of the same thing. And that's a good thing. It makes it a lot easier for us to find those items when we go there. So now that we know the general layout of the website, the general tools of each website, I think it's great if we actually get our hands a little dirty with looking at some of these websites. And the first one we're going to look at is the Office of the Department of Human Services. Now, when you think of human services, what do you think of? You probably think of, well, they serve adults, or they serve children, or they serve this or that. Truth is, they are a very wide open department, right? If you look here at their focus, right, their mission statement, they cater to meaningful connections to work opportunities, economic assistance, and supportive services. That is a very broad umbrella. So there's a lot of things that fall under the Department of Human Services. One thing to remember, the reason we bring up these details for each of these offices, is that different offices actually have different office hours. And that blew my mind when I started to research the offices, right? That some offices are your standard 9 to 5. The office, for health services, 8:15 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Monday to Friday. So you want to be very careful about the hours. That's one of the key things you want to recognize, is that the hours are different for these different offices. As far as featured services, these are the featured services from the Department of Health Services, right? Emergency rental assistance, which I think we all recognize is very important during the pandemic, with a lot of folks lost their jobs during the pandemic and needed some help. Supplemental nutrition assistance. This is SNAP. This is more so for families, as is TANF, right? The temporary assistance for needy families. Childcare assistance is actually an option, right? If you're looking for daycares that cater to, uh, I would say that cater to families that may not be able to typically afford daycare. They have assistance there, as well as service centers in general, right? Um, but there's also a couple other things that might be relevant to seniors that I think are worth highlighting. Veterans Affairs, no fee birth certificates, medical assistance, eviction prevention, and rent assistance, right? So these are all different services that are really important that you can find through the Department of Health Services. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and this is really important, I think, is that to get these services, you have to do different things. And what I mean by that is that not all of the websites you can go to act the same way. So for instance, Veterans Affairs. If you are a vet and you're trying to get supportive housing as a vet, the best way to do that is to give them a phone call, right? Is that they have their contact information here of how to get connected with them, right? That's the information they provide for you specifically, right? Meanwhile, if you are looking for medical assistance and you click on medical assistance, they have a lot more information, a lot more links for you to go to. And one of the links specifically is the DC Department of Healthcare Finance, right? So that's somewhere that they say that you should go. There's also these forms down here that they want you to fill out, right? So that's really important to recognize that there are different websites on health services might ask you to perform different tasks. And so you should just be prepared for that difference. Or even burial assistance, when there's a tragedy that strikes and we have to, ideally, if we can't afford to take care of the person, they do have, different options. But they say, here are the funeral homes to contact, right? Here's how you apply for assistance. Here's another link to go, or here's an email address you can send it to. It's really important to recognize that not, while every website might look the same, when you click on and you get into the minutia of the website, when you look at the details of the website, they might be doing things a little differently. Okay, so just be prepared for that. So when it comes to DHS, this is really how to apply for all services, right? This is a general pattern that you can use because they're all going to ask you still for different things. So research, what is the program that you're looking for and what does that program provide, right? So look at the details of exactly what they provide because there are some programs for instance, rent assistance that provide it to you for one thing, and there's other programs for rent assistance that provide it to you for another thing. So really, you want to make sure that you get into the weeds a little bit. Who's eligible? Are you eligible for this program? Check out those links and download those PDFs, right? And when they are available to you, prepare, right? Figure out how you apply. And that information is going to be on those specific websites, but you're going to have to do a little bit of digging in some cases, right? And figure out also in advance, just to make life easier for you, what documentation do you need? Sometimes they only require a driver's license. Sometimes you might need your birth certificate. Sometimes you might need both. Sometimes you might need your social security card. Who knows? There's so many different things that are required by different offices. So you just want to make sure that you figure out what that is in advance to save yourself some headache. And finally, something that's worth noting though, is that all of these different services that are available, not just at DHS, but also for the different offices we're going to look at today, they have help numbers. You can access help numbers, right? And you can talk to somebody on the phone who can walk you through this process as well and answer your questions. So don't be shy. As far as what to know about DHS specifically, and more generally the DC websites that we're going to continue, pursuing and exploring, all websites use the same template. Don't forget that. If you get nervous, just remember, they all use the same template. They all have that search button. They all have those announcements, that scroll, the featured services, the other services. They operate the same way. So just go back and pace yourself. As far as tools to quickly find what you're looking for, you can use the search function, like I said, and let's just take a look really quick again. You can use that search function at the top of the page that you'll find. You can use the select language function, right? There's the search function, select language. You can also use, when you click on a service, right? You can look at the filter option, right? And let me just go back here so we can do that. And you can see that filter option one more time. And here's that filter by topic option that I showed you earlier, right? The other thing though, that you might want to consider, and this is just if you're completely lost, and this is something that we've actually discussed in the past, is simply using Google, right? You can use Google to type DHS child, right? Just say DHS child, and suddenly you're like, okay, parenting and childcare, that DHS, childcare services, children services, like different things, right? DHS child, and so we say DC, and it's going to start bringing things up. So maybe this is another way to find what you're looking for. It's not exactly always the most effective way. It might be better to go to the website, but I just wanted to remind you that that's always an option. If you go to a search engine like Google or Yahoo or Bing, that you can find different, you can sometimes find what you're looking for that way. And finally, well, not finally, I also want to remind everyone that DHS offers a variety of resources, right? Not just for children and families, but also for seniors as well, okay? And also the fact is that many of our seniors, are still very much active with their families, right? And have families living with them. And so this does, in many ways correspond to what you might need. So don't be shy. If there's a service out there that can help you, DHS is a place to go. and ask for help if and when needed. So next, we're going to go on to the Office of Department, the Department of Employment Services. But before we go there, I want to see if anyone has any questions. I know I just covered a lot of information, and I'm sure that there's already some questions out there. So please feel free to speak up now. You can unmute yourselves and speak up, and I'm happy to hear from you and answer some questions before we go on to the next section. Anyone? Any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I didn't think I was being heard. I am a Washingtonian, and if there's any other help that you don't cover, I am willing and able to help you. I am sight unseen, very political. I love helping. I am a homeless rights advocate and seniors rights advocate. So this is not my first rodeo. This is my first rodeo in getting into this.
Great.
Because I'm not too computer savvy, even though I have an iPhone. So I'm willing and able to help anybody that needs my help in anything. The things that you've already covered, as far as burial, I am a grief counselor,
Wow.
voluntarily only. I am a private chef and caterer, so I am health conscious, very, and to help with people's meals and to help them cook small meals for seniors by themselves.
Beverly, thank you for speaking up. It's great to have somebody who actually is active in these activities, and for sharing that. What I would recommend is that you type out your name, your full name, and your email address in the chat room. So our fellow participants can look at the chat room, write down your information, and send you an email if they have questions about any of those things. And you can talk to them. That's great that you shared, and I'm happy that you spoke up. So yeah, so just please type that information in the chat room. We have another question from Yvonne here that I just want to address. Is help behind schedule because of the pandemic? The answer is maybe. I always hate giving the answer maybe, but the reason I say that is because different offices have been able to deal with pandemic issues at different speeds, particularly around different services. Some services are being requested at a much higher rate than others during the pandemic, so it depends really what the service is that you're looking for. It is going to determine what the speed that they respond to. Hopefully now that the pandemic is starting to ease, that people are starting to get back to work, things are looking a little brighter, they will be able to, whatever office you're reaching out to will be able to accommodate you sooner. But that's the gist of it, Yvonne. We also have
this is another Yvonne.
Oh, okay.
I'm interested in home repair for seniors as far as a grant is concerned. And also too, I'm a reservist for FEMA. In other words, I only work when they call me out on a disaster. But now that the seniors is on the line, I want them to know that with the pandemic, if anyone have family that died because of COVID, and this is from January the 20th up to the present, and through the rest of this year, FEMA will help them up to $9,000 for the burial.
Wow. I was unaware of that. That's an excellent recommendation, Yvonne. Thank you so much. And so if you have a link by any chance, if you can look up a link to that specific program or information, please feel free to drop that in the chat room so other people can click on that link and access that information.
Okay, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
I don't have that information right now with me.
No worries, but thank you at least for that clue. Also, to answer your question about resources for seniors, we actually explore that later in this presentation. It's not this office that deals with assistance for repairs, home repairs, but it's a different office. But we cover that as well coming up.
Okay. Thank you.
Mark,
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Mark.
Yes.
I wanted to find out this is Vera Moore. I wanted to find out when would this session be repeated, because I had the wrong ID number. So I missed quite a bit
Sure.
of the session.
So that's actually a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, Vera. We actually have our first two sessions now on YouTube. Our third session this is our third session, right? This is being recorded as well and will be shared. The issue with the first two sessions is just that they only recently got added to YouTube. So I haven't been able to provide those links to everyone. And I apologize for that, like we planned on, but I will be sending those out shortly. So Vera, whatever you missed, you will be able to catch that first part of.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, we're going to go on to the next office. I know that there's a couple other questions that I haven't been able to get to, but once again, it's very tight for time. So I want to make sure that we get to everyone's presentation today. And we're just going to quickly cover DOES. We're also showing you the details up here for DOES. And once again, remember, I mentioned that hours are different for different offices. DOES has different hours than with DHS, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, right? And their focus, of course, as you might guess from their name, Employment Services, is just that. They're looking to provide you with opportunities and resources that will help you either get employed, keep employment, or protect you from, exploitive practices. So it's really, they're a great office. We've actually worked with them quite a bit in the past at Bite Back. And they oversee a lot of different programs, American Job Centers, youth services, apprenticeships. They really do a lot for the community, and they do a lot to help out DC residents get employed. And those are just their featured services, though, that you'll find on their landing page. As far as some of the other services, two in particular that I wanted to highlight are the Senior Community Service Employment Program and Veteran Services. And I'm just going to click on the first one that I mentioned. For Senior Community Service Employment Program, there's quite a bit to it, as you can see just from the description, right? But the gist of it is that they are working to get seniors, into it's a training program, and they want to get you back in the workforce if you want to be in the workforce, right? Now, for them specifically, the easiest way to contact them and to find out more details is you can click on program details for the background, eligibility, and then you can also reach out to them, workforcebureau.does@dc.gov, and here's their number specifically. And so that would be very helpful, but that's something that's out there for you as seniors and available to you specifically. Another resource that I wanted to highlight is the Veteran Services. Almost every office I visited when I was doing my research, or we were doing our research on these different programs, has a veterans arm, right? And so for those of you who are with us today who are veterans, or if you know veterans, let them know that there are these services available to them. Specifically in the district, veterans actually get quite a bit of assistance with getting aid to find a job. And they can give you help from the get-go on how to, create a resume, to your cover letter, to what kinds of jobs might best fit you. So there's a lot of opportunities here. And again, the easiest way to, get in touch with them, they give you the general information here of their office, right, of DOES. But as long as you say, hey, I'm a vet, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm looking for, they will make sure to point you in the right direction. And those are just, now remember though, these are the other services. And I just want to go to the DOES webpage really quick to show you where to find that, because I don't want anyone getting lost when you get there. So here it is, the DOES home, the landing page, right? And once again, it's going to look just familiar, right? We're going to the landing page, looks like other pages that we've seen. They have their featured services. And when it comes to those other services that I just mentioned, you go to more services and you can find them there. Now, as far as the key points when talking about DOES, and I think this is really important, is that they have programs for all ages. You might say to yourself, well, what's my grandson or granddaughter going to do? Right? They have, for instance, the Marion Barry Youth Employment Program. That's operated by DOES. They have, as I pointed out, their senior training program for you, or for your friends, or for your family members, right, who might fit those categories. So it's not just a matter of when people think about employment, they think about, oh, ages maybe 20 to 60. It is all across the board, right? They are starting in the teens and going all the way to however old you are and you want to work. As far as the eligibility, that's where we have to get into the weeds. It can vary. And so once again, just like with any other office, you want to check the description. You want to do your research to make sure you have all the details. Now, one thing, and this pertains to a question we heard earlier about the pandemic, right? And how might the pandemic be affecting things? Some of their facilities are closed at the moment, specifically the American Job Centers. They may reopen in the near future, but it's unclear when that's going to be. So if you want more information about when an American Job Center is going to reopen, you can either call or email DOES to confirm, and they can give you a better idea than we can at the moment. So I know I rushed through that because we've got so much more to talk about, but I want to take a moment to pause and see if there's any questions about DOES or anything tangentially related to employment services. Okay, then. All right. I guess I explained it very clearly. Thanks, everyone. Just teasing. Next, we have my team member, Felicia Sosa, who's going to be talking about the organization that is sponsoring our call today, Department of Aging and Community Living. So I will be quiet and I'll hand the floor over to Felicia.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Felicia Soso. Today we're going to be talking about DACL, the Department of Aging Community Living. Or Aging and Community Living. So today we'll learn about what is DACL for, what does DACL offer, and important information about it as well. So here we have some information. Here we have some information. We have the website as well as the phone number. You can find the website at dacl.dc.gov. And their number is 202-724-5626. And you can screenshot that or write it down. And any questions that you have that we can't answer here, you can call them and ask them. Their office hours are from Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I just wanted to give you guys part of their mission statement. It's a long mission statement. The mission statement for the Department of Aging and Community Living is to advocate, plan, implement, and monitor programs in health, education, and social services for elderly to promote longevity, independence, dignity, and a choice for age district residents. And so this actually extends to not only senior citizens, but also to adults with disabilities as well. So who is DACL for? It's for seniors, and that counts as the age 60 up, as well as adults with disabilities that are 18 up and their caregivers as well. Okay, so now we have some of the website commonalities as Mark went over. Pretty much all of these websites are set up the same. So you have the option, you have search, you have scrolling announcements, featured services, and quick links. Resources, you have a newsletter with events and updates, as well as options to listen to the pages and to increase font size if you need that as well. Okay, so now we have featured services, and here we have senior wellness centers. We have safe at home, transportation, villages, adult protective services, and you could get in contact with them at 202-541-3950. Again, screenshot or write these numbers down. If you have to report any allegations, that's who you call. And we also have nutrition as well. Okay, so
I just wanted to interject and just say that, for the senior wellness centers, there are senior wellness centers in every ward. And so we just wanted to make sure that you know that when you click on that and you go to the more services, you can actually find. Now, once again, hours and availability might vary due to the pandemic, but there are senior wellness centers in every ward where they can talk to you. There are activities, they can talk to you about nutrition, opportunities, things of that nature.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And we have more services as well. We have Alzheimer's disease and related dementia services, as well as benefit assistance, caregiver programs, health insurance counseling, lead agencies, legal services, and volunteer opportunities as well. And all of these can be found on the website. If you're unable, I do want to mention this too. If you're unable to actually go into the website and find these things, the search option is very important, because you could go there and basically type in whatever you're looking for and find it. And also, the number that we have is also very helpful. If you have, again, any questions that we're not answering here, if you have any further questions, you can call them and they'll answer those questions for you. But yeah, so. Okay, and then how do you apply for DACL services? Well, first you want to make sure you're eligible, you're of age, and you meet the criteria. And for further information, you contact the number again, 202-724-5626 for general questions. Okay, so key points about DACL. So the Department of Aging and Community Living offers resources and assistance for seniors, adults, and adults with disabilities, as well as their caregivers. DACL provides multiple resources for seniors that are completely free, including but not limited to transportation, legal services, and wellness activities. And scroll through announcements at the top of the web pages for updates like the new pet adoption program for seniors. So that's when you get to the page, you'll see the pictures scrolling at the top. Yeah, let's see. And you can get a lot of updates and information through there as well. There's just a lot to, yes. Mm-hmm. So here it is, Senior Pet Connected. So yes, so those are the key points. And so now I can answer anybody's question. I already see a question in the chat. Let me see. Are the villages, okay, so Yvonne, are the villages funded by DACL or are they privately funded by membership? I'm actually unsure. I think, oh, Mark.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. Thanks, Yvonne, for that question. I believe that they are funded by DACL. Now, don't quote me on that, but it's under my understanding that just about all the different services that are listed here are, so whether if it's a DOES service, if it's a DHS service, if it's a DACL, that is the office, that is the department that funds it, right? The senior centers, for instance, that's funded by DACL, right? So I imagine that the villages would also be funded by DACL.
Well, I know in some cases they require membership. So I didn't know whether they got some support from DACL or was it all by membership? Because I wanted to call the East Rock Creek Village to ask for some services with something that I need. And they're very welcoming, but I was just wondering if they got funding in part from DACL.
Right. No, and I think that's a great question, right? Because, I know for me, money can be tight sometimes. And, you don't necessarily want to look into a village only to be told that you might have to pay or that it's a membership fee. But if you go here, if we go to you remember, this is one of their featured options, featured services, and first they explain what is a village, right? And how does the village work? Recommending that you join. You can also start your own, but it looks like for the most part, there's no mention of money. There's no mention of funding. And they do, however, have a village locator. So I think that the best thing to do would be just to look out to the specific village that you want to join, or depending on where you live, so you can actually, access those resources.
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So once again, if you're interested in the villages and you go to the main landing page for DACL and you scroll down, there it is right there in the village services. And if you click on it, it will take you and you'll get the information that you need, as well as, people that you can reach out to, or at least the number that you can reach out to. Other questions?
I see someone said, how do you, well, I'm not sure. Are there more Mark Rivera's? I see someone asked, how do you screenshot an app?
Oh, so how do you take a picture of an app? while you're in the iPad. I think that's something that's best left towards the end of this presentation, because we will be going at least over a couple other iPad related topics and questions. So we'll save that question for the end. We'll revisit that one. I'm sorry to not address it right now.
Okay. And I see I let the department who offered pet adoption or got in contact with them about a month ago and haven't heard back. Okay, so I responded to an email they sent. So I would call the number that, actually I'll put it in here too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation, right? Whenever there's issues with contacting a certain office, you want to reach out directly to them. And so here for that pet adoption program, right, you want to go to the horse's mouth, so to speak. Just, and you can get the information here for the Senior Pet Connect. And I also give you the email, right, dsel.communication. So that person's probably going to be faster to respond. Here's the general office number, of course. But that's what they recommend. So that's the best place to start.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any more questions.
Great.
Would you put on the screen what you said about the village? I'm trying to take a picture with my cell phone.
Sure.
On the villages.
Happy to do that. Yes.
Thank you.
So here we are. We're going back to the featured services where we found villages, and there's the option. And here is the information.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And so let's go on to our next office. And I believe that's going to be discussed by Casimir. Yes. So I will be quiet.
Hi, how's everybody doing? So my name is Casimir Tunzi, and I'm interning with BioBot this summer. So I'm still a student, and I'm going to school down by Salisbury. Salisbury University is very close to Ocean City, if you guys know the place. And I study information system.
Could you speak up a little?
Oh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, so I'm just.
You're very low.
Can you guys hear me?
No, I can.
I don't know what's going on. Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me?
Not really.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Much better.
Loud and clear, brother. Loud and clear.
All right. So sorry about that. So I'm interning with BioBot this summer, and I still go to school. I'm in school in Salisbury University, and I'm studying information system. And a little bit of background about me. So I speak French, and so I'm from Cameroon. So if I don't pronounce words clearly, just guys could stop me, and then I will try to speak a little bit clearly. And while we present today, I will give you some general information about DHCD and some services they provide, and at the end I'll answer some questions if you guys have some questions. So there's the
Your casual voice is very low, so just speak up a little bit more.
So here's the phone number for the agency, 202-442-7200, and the office hours are Monday to Friday, 8:15 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. And so DHCD, they serve the DC residents, so they provide various services and resources to create and preserve opportunity for affordable housing for all DC residents. So who are they serving? So like I was saying earlier, so they serve all DC residents, and to be more specific, they serve homeowners, home buyers, the tenants, housing providers, the developers, and all the small business in DC. Next slide. And so here are some services that the agency provide. So you guys see a lot of COVID-19 services. So these were put in place after the breakout, just to like help the DC resident with, with the harsh. They have the COVID-19 rental assistance, so and the COVID-19 tenant payment plan, and all these, programs, you have to qualify for them. So you have to go to the website and look at the requirements. But the thing you're gonna see mostly, you have to like identify yourself, show proof of your residency, and have proof of hardship that you're going through, financially. And one thing I wanted to also highlight is the housing counseling. So the DHCD partner with the community based organization, and they provide counseling services and training to tenants, potential homeowners, and current homeowners. So here is the website. If you click, Mark, if you go a little up, if you click on the just scroll up. If you click on the CBD, the CBOs, they have more info about like the different locations. So if you scroll down, you can see there's like different locations and, and different facilities names. Yeah, so that's where you can find more information. And here are, some other services. I want to also highlight the family residential rehabilitation. I don't know if that was somebody mentioned something about reparation. So if the single family residential rehabilitation program helps helps resident with like they give grants to eliminate barriers to access for accessibility for person with mobility or other physical impairment. So they offer a grant up to 30,000. I don't know who, somebody mentioned something about that earlier. So we're just gonna talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that, Casimir. I just want to point out that, yes, this is the program that you would, I believe this is the program that you would connect with if you needed to rehabilitate parts of your home, whether it be the roof, as it says here, or modifications to eliminate barriers to accessibility. This is a great resource, and Casimir was right about that number. So quite a bit of money there that you can access if you qualify.
Yeah. And some key point, I want you guys to remember, the agency offers a lot of funding for rent, mortgages, and repair. And also if you feel like you're being taken advantage of by your landlord, contact the agency. Talk to them and explain your situation. And like I showed you guys earlier, there's so many resources for COVID-19 relief funds. So just take advantage of all these services. Do you guys have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
In the COVID relief fund, does that include, say, if the pipe out busted the house that I live in, and it's over, say it's in the hundred thousands of dollars for the repair, and plus I still have to pay that water bill, will those relief funds be available to me for that reason?
I truthfully, I don't know. Just based here, it says rental assistant, tenant payment plan, mortgage payment relief. I don't know if funds for that damage would be available, or there are funds for that. Typically speaking, the COVID relief funds were people who lost their jobs, or whose homes were at threat of being repossessed, or who are at risk of being kicked out of their apartment, right? So I don't know of any specific funds related to fixing pipes. Again, there's the funds related to creating greater accessibility in your home or helping you with a roof, but I don't know of any funds, unfortunately, for fixing a pipe or reimbursing for severe water damage due to that. One thing you could do, though, is to actually reach out to the HCD or possibly to also reach out to DACL and ask them if there's something that they can do, right? There are those general numbers and email addresses that are provided. And again, there's always the possibility of performing the search function, right? So here we have DHCD, and you can go here and we can click on the other services option, the more services option. And once you get there, maybe filter by the topic that you're looking for and see if there is something available there to you.
So I
Thank
think,
you.
Yvonne had a question. So he asked, can senior get help to replace a roof or repair the foundation? So I'm not quite sure about the foundation, but I know they offer, funds for, replacing or repairing the roof.
Yeah, so in that case, the person, thank you for sharing that and answering that question, Casimir. Definitely the best person or persons to reach out to would be that office to ask about the foundation. The roof, we know that's covered. The foundation, we didn't say anything about that. So just to get some clarity, reach out to the office.
All right.
Other questions?
Yes, could you give us some clarification on that roof? I have a neighbor that's a senior that is in need of that, and I'd like to be able to share that information with them.
Sure. Let's go there directly together. Oops. So it looks like we're going to run out of time for questions at the end of the presentation, but that's okay. We're taking care of the questions right now. And so here we have the single family residential rehabilitation program. If we go to the eligibility, how to apply, or the program CBOs, right, there are these two documents. So these are organizations that you can actually reach out to directly, right? If you want to take a screenshot of that, who will have questions or who will have people who can answer those questions. Take a screenshot of that. And so these are the organizations that help with that program specifically. As far as eligibility, how to apply, this is also important, right? You don't necessarily want to refer your neighbor to a program that may not be able to help with them. But actually, I thought it was $30,000. The cost is not to exceed a total of $50,000. So that's still quite a bit. A roof repair grant of up to $20,000 to replace the roof. Accessibility improvement grant of up to $30,000, right? So combined, $50,000 is possible depending on what renovations need to be made. Eligibility. Here we have the eligibility, right? So if your friend owns and lives in their home as the primary residence for at least 3 years, if they're a current DC resident, have a credit report that shows current payments on all mortgages for the last 12 months, they possess homeowners insurance, and they meet the household income limits. So they have to be below, right? So we just click on that. Then, they can access those. But the best place, to start if they just want to ask questions would be one of the CBOs that were mentioned here. Does that help?
Very helpful. Thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe and protected.
Oh, you're welcome. You too. Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. Could you tell me why some of us ended up with participant today?
Sure. So before we move on, the reason that some of you were marked as participant is because when you entered the meeting, you had my name as your participant name, not your name, because you used the direct link that was provided to you, which unfortunately everyone using that direct link gets my name. So rather than have too many Mark Riveras everywhere, I chose to mention people as participant, hoping that you would change the name using the option to rename yourself. But that's okay. But you're still here. And if you can write your name in the chat, we would love to count you as being a participant for today and to make sure that we email you details after. That being said, we have a limited amount of time. We're already at the 2 o'clock mark, which is crazy, right? We've covered so much ground so far, so that's great, but we still have so far to go. So unfortunately, we don't have much time for Q&A at the end of this, but I would at least like Latika to share her information about the DMV, Park Mobile, and iPad visual settings. Latika, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. I will be quiet. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. So my name is Latika Wesley. I'm a bite back navigator. I will be going over Department of Motor Vehicles, Park Mobile app, and iPad visual settings. For the Department of Motor Vehicles, we'll be talking about the contact information. So if you look at the screen, that is I'm sorry, 1 second, please. Okay, I'm sorry. So that is an overview. That was an overview of the DMV website. Here's the contact information. You can reach the general office at 202-737-4404. There's a website link again for you. Office hours varies by location. So wherever you're located, you want to find the DMV location closest to you. The mission of the Department of Motor Vehicles for the DC is to promote the safe operation of motor vehicles and public safety while providing outstanding customer service. So some of the DMV featured services include knowledge tests for your permit and your driver's license, residential parking permits, so that whatever apartment you're living in, if you need a permit to park or where you're located in the zone, you can apply for a parking permit. You can pay outstanding tickets, surrender any tags, and for your driver records / driver history. Some of the other services provided by the DMV are disability parking placards and permits. So if you are disabled or you have mobility challenges, you can go to the DMV website to apply for a permit for a parking space that might be easier for you to get into. And you can also apply for disability tags as well. So this is a website where you can apply for the tags. You see it here. Also, if you have an issue with some of the tickets you were provided, you can contest those tickets on the website. And also you can do some exhaust emissions testing there as well. So one of the applications that can help you park in the District of Columbia is called the Park Mobile app. It allows you to quickly pay for on-street parking and reserve a space in a garage ahead of time. So today I'll be going over the overview of the app, registering your license plate, adding your payments, and reviewing your account settings. So Park Mobile app is actually available on your iPad. If you go to the App Store, if you type in Park Mobile, you'll be able to download the app there. Here you'll see screenshots of my app. So you'll be looking at exactly what you're seeing today once you download the app. So here's where you sign in. Or if you don't have an account, you can sign up. Next, we have the zone search. So whatever zone you're in, you can apply your zone number so that once you log in, you'll automatically see parking spots available in your zone. Next, we have add vehicle. So you can add your license plate number, the state it's registered in, so that information is already stored. Once you go back to the app, it'll already be there for you to apply to the parking box that you're nearby. Next, we have add a payment. You can add a debit or credit card, or alternatively PayPal if you have it. Park Mobile Reserve. So it'll pick up your GPS location and let you know which parking spaces are available for you to reserve in advance. But you have to enable that location setting on your iPad for them to be able to do that. Your profile settings, you can add more details about your car, about yourself. The mobile account settings, so if you want to add your phone number or any other contact details. And you can add as many vehicles as you'd like. So if you add your main vehicle, you can add more vehicles after that. And it'll also show you your mobile activity. So if you reserved the spot last week and you forgot where you parked, that information will be here for you, so that if you want to park in that same space, you'll be able to find it.
So I just want to jump in to say, I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but I remember the first time I tried to park in DC without Park Mobile, and it took forever to do on my phone. So if you can do this, if you drive and you plan on parking anywhere around the city, download that Park Mobile app now, complete the information from the comfort of your home, the relaxation of your home. It's a bit of a process, and then you'll save yourself a lot of headache when you do drive around DC and need to park.
For
I
sure.
have a question for Ms. Wesley.
Okay.
Mayor Bowser ticket payoff, is that still active where you can use that program to pay off back tickets, penalties and interest?
I am not certain. Mark, can you go back to the DMV website and see if that's available?
Exactly where I'm going. I saw something like that on the website recently. I don't know if that option is still available.
It's supposed to be available until September, but yes, please check the site.
It's still active.
So
Okay.
So if we go to more services, yeah.
If we see it on the site.
I know that if we look for tickets, for instance, it'll bring up a lot of contest tickets is the section that we can go to.
I'm talking about tickets that you got,
old
tickets that you didn't pay for.
So yeah, I don't know specifically, but as our friend said, that it should be active through September.
Okay.
Yeah, the best place to go would be the DMV though for more information, and maybe go to the pay tickets section. They have contest ticket up here. They also have different kinds of tickets, whether it be, they also have installment payment plans, but that's not what you want.
No.
So maybe, but this would still be the best place to go to contact them to discuss this issue with, right? Would be the DMV.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Jones, and I want to know, with this Apple iPad, can your doctor do a video with you, or say a family member want to Zoom call you? Does that mean that the only person that can do this is with an Apple phone or Apple iPad?
Mr. Jones, good to have you here. We actually talked about telehealth during our last presentation, so we'll make sure to send you that link. Yes, absolutely. You can do a telehealth appointment, a virtual appointment with a doctor or a nurse or whatever practitioner you're trying to meet with through your iPad, depending on the service that they use. You know, it could be Zoom, it could be, Cisco WebEx, it could be another one. But yes, you can use the iPad for telehealth. I do believe, though, we have one last slide to get to. So I just want, Latika, if you can talk about that last slide.
Now I will be talking about iPad visual settings. If you have your iPad near you, you can actually follow along by going to settings on your iPad and then going to display and brightness. And you'll see one of the first options you'll have there is to bold the text. So as you can see from the screen, the before and after, the effect that the bold has on the text that you'll see on your iPad.
I don't think it does it while you're on the Zoom program.
Yeah, if you're on a laptop viewing the Zoom and you have your iPad near you, you can follow
Yeah,
along.
but if we're gonna lose you, if we go to settings, we're gonna lose you.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're on your iPad, this is something you can do later. Once you have the slide deck available, you can follow along with the slides. But if you're not using your iPad right now, you can follow along on your iPad. Sorry for the confusion.
No problem.
There's also an option to make your text larger. You can adjust the font by using the slider you'll see on your app once you go to this setting.
Once you get out of the meeting.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, yes. And there are a bunch more displaying text size settings, button shapes. You can underline the text that you type. On and off labels, you can switch from on and off to a 1 and a 0.
On Eargo Neo iPod. We're here and ready to help you with your hearing loss with free remote
I'm
hearing
sorry, if
checks.
you're not speaking, can you mute your
Professionals. And if you're an active or retired federal employee, you may qualify to
Thank you. So there are more settings. Differentiate, without color, smart invert, classic invert, color filters. You can go and play with these. If you want to save the settings, you click save. If you just want to play with them, you can click cancel. That won't affect anything you see on your iPad. So I encourage you, it's pretty fun to see the changes you can make to make things more accessible for you. You can also adjust the brightness or set the brightness to adjust automatically to the current light conditions. So if you're outside and the sun is shining bright, it'll automatically adjust to a dimmer setting so that your eyes won't hurt as much. And you can reduce the white points and that reduces the color sensitivity.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, Latika. Unfortunately, we are at 2:13. We're almost out of time. However, I just wanted to say one thing. One of the reasons why we had Latika go through these many different options that you can perform on your iPad to make larger text, to bold the text, to do different things, is because if you go to any of the websites that we spoke about today, there is this listen option that will actually screen read everything. But the adjust the share option, right? The adjust the font option, this make it bigger or smaller, that's inactive. That actually doesn't work. So we want to make sure if you're on your iPad, you still know how to make things appear bigger on your screen. And this is how you would do that, right? Bigger, bolder, so that you can read it easier. So that's why we had that. As far as the questions, there's been a lot of great questions today. Hopefully we've been able to answer many of them. The one takeaway I want to stress, and this goes with, I would say, every presentation we've had so far, right, is that everything that has been asked today, the answer really is at your fingertips, particularly if you go to the specific office that you know of. Now, if you don't know which office to go to for anything that you might have a question about, for instance, I wouldn't have known where to go before today about how to get roofing assistance, right? Or accessibility assistance. Now we know that, right? But you can always go and you can still search those topics. And the way you do that, as we mentioned earlier, right, just as a quick review, is the fact that all of these all of these offices are interconnected. They all follow the same template. So if I go here, and here I am in Department of Motor Vehicles, but I still type roof repair, it's going to still bring up different things that might, pertain to roof repair because it's accessing DC and it's talking to me about DC. So I may not be even in the right office, but I can still get information, right? And I can find those things. So I just want to make sure that everyone realizes that even if you're not in the right office, even if you're just, that you can hunt down this information wherever you go. One last thing before we depart, and I just want to emphasize this in the chat room right now. I am going to share, I'm going to share my email address. And the reason I'm going to share my email address is because I know that there's been a lot of questions lately, and I want to, it appears as the host, I can't actually access my email address. Okay, well, this is what I'll do. For the help desk that you have access to, right? If you want a copy of the video, but your name is Mark Rivera. If your name's not Mark Rivera, we're going to track you down and we're going to find your email address, and we're going to email you the slide deck and the link to this copy of this video, as well as the call number 2, which is telehealth, and call number 1 about protecting yourself online. But if your name is currently Mark Rivera, we don't know who you are. That's important. We don't know who you are and we can't track you down. So make sure you reach out to the contact person for helping us out with these groups and say, I was on call 3 with Bite Back about DC services. I want the slide deck. I want the email, or I want the copy to the link of that video. Okay, if your name's Mark Rivera, I just want to make sure that we don't miss you. So please do that. Reach out to the service number to talk about that and say, I was on call 3. Here's my number. Here's my email. Just make sure they get me that information. That being said, unfortunately, we are at the end of our call. I know it went by so fast. It always goes by so fast. But we appreciate all of you for being here with us today, for your contributions, especially for persons who spoke up and gave us advice, who answered some of our questions, as well as persons who also offered their services. I know that there's a couple of those who wrote down their information in the chat room about their services. So thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you to everyone who volunteered to help out, and have a great day. And if you have any other follow-up questions or issues, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Have a good
much.
weekend.
You
Have a
too.
good weekend.
Mark?
Yes, sir. I'm about to end the call.
Okay, well, I came in late because I'm just learning the iPad thing, but I finally got through. So I guess the next time I'll be able to interfere with this.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Lewis. And Mr. Lewis, like I said, because we have your name, we'll be able to track down your email address and send you the link to the video of this call so you can catch up.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You
Thank you.
too. Bye-bye.
All right.